When my ex-wife demanded our $800,000 dream house in the divorce, I smiled, signed the papers without a fight, and handed her the keys. 3 months later, she called me screaming about the $500,000 termite damage report I'd just discovered. But that was only the beginning of my perfectly legal revenge. You won't believe what I did next. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments. The marble floors of our dream house echoed with the sharp click of my wife Sarah's designer heels as she paced our living room like a caged predator. Her lawyer, some shark in a $3,000 suit, spread documents across our granite coffee table, the same table we'd picked out together during happier times. "I want the house, Marcus," Sarah announced, her voice carrying that familiar tone of entitlement that had become her trademark. "This house, full ownership, non-negotiable." I looked around at the crown molding I'd personally installed, the hardwood floors I'd refinished by hand, the custom kitchen where we'd once cooked together. Every inch of this place held 10 years of my sweat, my dreams, my life. "Sarah, be reasonable," I said quietly. "This house is worth $800,000. We should split everything fairly." "Fair," she laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Fair would be compensation for 10 years of putting up with your mediocrity. Fair would be recognition that I elevated your pathetic social status just by marrying you." Her lawyer cleared his throat. "Mrs. Rodriguez is willing to waive alimony in exchange for sole ownership of the marital residence." Sarah's eyes glittered with triumph. She thought she was getting the better deal. Poor, stupid Sarah. She had no idea what she was really asking for. "Fine," I said, my voice steady. "You want the house, you can have it." The shock on her face was priceless. Her lawyer actually dropped his pen. "I'm sorry, what?" Sarah stammered. "Just like that. You're giving up without a fight." I smiled, genuinely smiled for the first time in months. "Just like that, draw up the papers. The house is yours, Sarah, all yours." What Sarah didn't know, what nobody knew except me and old Pete from Peterson's Pest Control, was that our beautiful dream house was hiding a nightmare that would make her precious social status crumble faster than the wood beneath our feet. It started 6 months ago with a small, innocuous sound in the walls, a soft tapping that Sarah dismissed as old house settling. But I knew better. I'd grown up in construction, learned about building integrity from my father. That tapping wasn't settling. It was something much, much worse. I'd called Pete on a Tuesday morning while Sarah was at her yoga class, the one that cost $200 a month and produced nothing but attitude adjustments. "Marcus, you've got a problem," Pete had whispered as we stood in our basement, his flashlight illuminating what looked like sawdust scattered across the foundation. "This isn't recent damage. This has been going on for years." The inspection revealed a horror show. Subterranean termites had been systematically devouring our house from the inside out. The main support beams were 70% compromised. The floor joists under our master bedroom were basically powder held together by paint and prayer. "How much to fix this?" I'd asked, though I already suspected the answer would destroy me. Pete's face was grim. "Complete remediation and structural repair. You're looking at $500,000 minimum, maybe more. The whole subfloor system needs to be rebuilt. We're talking about basically gutting the house down to the studs. $500,000, more than our annual household income. More than we had in savings, retirement, everything combined." "Pete, I need you to do me a favor," I'd said, an idea already forming. "Can you keep this quiet for now? Don't file any reports with the city, don't contact insurance. Give me some time to figure this out." He'd nodded slowly. "Insurance won't cover this anyway, Marcus. This level of damage, they'll call it pre-existing and walk away. You'd be fighting them for years." Perfect. Absolutely perfect. The divorce proceedings took 3 months. 3 months of Sarah's increasingly smug confidence as she anticipated claiming her prize. 3 months of her bragging to her book club friends about how she'd outmaneuvered me in the settlement. Marcus is being surprisingly cooperative, I heard her tell her sister during one of their weekly phone gossip sessions. I think he finally realizes he's lucky I stayed with him as long as I did. Her sister's response was muffled, but Sarah's laughter rang through the house like breaking china. Oh, please, Jennifer. The man barely finished community college. He should be grateful I'm only taking the house and not demanding half his business too. I played my part perfectly, moping around the house, looking defeated during mediation sessions, asking my lawyer in Sarah's hearing if there was any way to negotiate a smaller settlement. Mr. Rodriguez, her shark lawyer had said during our final meeting, your wife is being more than generous. Most women in her position would demand significant alimony payments. She's offering you a clean break. I understand, I'd replied, making my voice small and defeated. This house means everything to me. Sarah leaned forward, her smile predatory. That's exactly why I want it, Marcus. I want you to remember every single day what you lost when you lost me. The papers were signed on a Friday. By Monday morning, I was moved out completely, living in a modest apartment across town. Sarah celebrated by throwing a housewarming party in the house she'd lived in for 10 years, inviting all the neighbors to see her independent woman transformation. I didn't attend, obviously, but I did drive by that evening, watching through the windows as Sarah played hostess in her death trap, serving wine and appetizers while termites continued their relentless feast beneath her feet. 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized, I did something Sarah would have found absolutely mortifying if she'd known about it. I went back to school. Not community college this time, USC's online MBA program, something I'd been putting off for years because Sarah considered my business degree adequate for someone of your background. The irony wasn't lost on me. While Sarah was living in a house that was literally falling apart, I was finally building the future I'd always wanted. My construction business, Rodriguez and Sons, even though I didn't have sons yet, was thriving. Without Sarah's constant demands for expensive vacations, designer handbags, and social climbing expenses, I could actually reinvest in the company. I hired 3 new crews, bought better equipment, started bidding on commercial projects. But the best part of my days was checking my hidden security cameras. Yes, I'd installed cameras before moving out. Completely legal, I was still part owner of the house when I installed them, and I'd hidden them so well that Sarah would never find them. Tiny wireless devices tucked into the crown molding I'd installed myself, sending feeds directly to my phone. I watched Sarah's daily routine like my own personal reality show. Morning yoga in the living room, directly above the most compromised floor joists. Evening wine parties on the back deck, where the support posts were 80% hollow. Weekend cleaning sessions where she vacuumed up what she thought was regular dust, but was actually the powdered remains of our house's skeleton. The cameras also caught something else. Sarah's new boyfriend, Brad. Brad the personal trainer. Brad with the abs and the man bun and the Tesla. Brad who moved in exactly 3 weeks after our divorce was final, bringing his protein shakes and his superiority complex into my former home. Watching Brad do push-ups in my old living room while termites devoured the floor beneath him was better than any therapy session. It started with a soft creaking in the master bedroom. I watched through my hidden camera as Sarah and Brad investigated the sound, their faces showing the first hints of concern. Maybe we should call someone, Brad suggested, his voice carrying that particular male confidence that comes from never having actually owned property. It's just the house settling, Sarah replied, but I could see the uncertainty in her eyes. Marcus always said old houses make noise. Old houses make noise, but not like this. This was the sound of structural integrity beginning its final collapse. A week later, the bathroom door started sticking. Then the kitchen cabinet doors wouldn't close properly. Small things, the kind of issues that could be dismissed as minor home maintenance. But I knew better. The house was shifting as its support structure continued to fail. Sarah called a handyman, some guy named Rick who charged her $200 to adjust the door frames and tell her everything was fine. Rick was an idiot who couldn't identify catastrophic structural damage if it bit him on his tool belt. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. The real entertainment came when Sarah decided to redecorate. She hired an interior designer, some pretentious woman named Celeste who charged $500 just for a consultation, and began planning a complete renovation of the master suite. "We want to create a Zen sanctuary," I heard Sarah explain to Celeste through my cameras. "Something that reflects our elevated lifestyle and spiritual growth." Their elevated lifestyle, their spiritual growth. Sarah had been married to me for 10 years and dating Brad for 2 months, but apparently they were already, planning major home renovations. The renovation plans were beautiful. Hardwood floors, recessed lighting, a bathroom expansion that would require removing a load-bearing wall. Celeste estimated the project at $75,000, not including permits and inspections. "Will you need to inspect the underlying structure?" Celeste asked during their planning session, her designer clipboard poised professionally. "Oh, the house is in perfect condition," Sarah assured her. "My ex-husband was obsessive about maintenance. Everything is solid. If only she knew. It happened on a Tuesday morning, 3 months and 2 weeks after our divorce was finalized. I was in my office, reviewing blueprints for a new commercial project when my phone rang with Sarah's number. I let it go to voicemail, then she called again, and again. By the 4th call, my curiosity got the better of me. "Hello, Sarah." My voice was professionally neutral, the tone I used with difficult clients. "Marcus." Her voice was different, shaky. The confidence was gone, replaced by something that might have been panic. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." "I'm always honest, Sarah. It was one of the things you hated about me." "Did you know about the termites?" The question hung between us like a blade. I could have lied. I could have played innocent. But where was the fun in that? "Which termites would those be, Sarah? Don't play games with me." Her voice cracked. "The pest control company just left. They found termite damage throughout the entire house. The inspector said it's been going on for years. Did you know?" I leaned back in my office chair, looking out at the construction site where my crew was working on a solid, well-built commercial foundation. Real construction. Honest work. "I might have suspected something," I said carefully. "Why, is there a problem?" "A problem?" Sarah's voice rose to a near shriek. "Marcus, they're telling me the entire house needs to be gutted. The floor joists, the support beams, everything. They're saying it could cost $500,000. "That does sound expensive," I agreed. "Have you called your insurance company?" The silence stretched so long I thought she'd hung up. "Marcus," Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "The insurance company says this is pre-existing damage. They won't cover it. They're saying it's been going on for years before I even owned the house." "Well, that's unfortunate. But legally, once the divorce was finalized, the house became your responsibility. All of it, including any maintenance issues." "You bastard." Her voice was pure venom now. You knew, and you let me take this house anyway." "Sarah, I'm going to stop you right there," I said, my voice hardening. "I offered you half of everything. You demanded the house. You got exactly what you asked for." "This is fraud, this is criminal. I'm calling my lawyer." "You do that," I said calmly, "and while you're at it, have him explain the legal concept of buyer beware. The house was transferred to you in divorce proceedings. You could have ordered your own inspection. You chose not to." The sound she made was somewhere between a scream and a sob. "Marcus, please. We were married for 10 years. Doesn't that mean anything to you? I can't afford this. This will bankrupt me. It means everything to me, Sarah. It means I remember exactly how you treated me during those 10 years. It means I remember every insult, every put-down, every time you made me feel small. I never. You called me mediocre, I interrupted. You said I should be grateful you married me. You said I elevated my social status just by being with you. Ring any bells? Silence. The house is yours, Sarah, all yours. Enjoy your elevated lifestyle. I hung up. The local news picked up the story 3 days later. Not the full story, of course. Sarah was too proud to admit she'd been outmaneuvered by her mediocre ex-husband. But the housing inspector who'd condemned the property had to file a public report with the city, and reporters loved a good dream home becomes nightmare story. Local woman discovers $500,000 termite damage in divorce settlement home, read the headline in the Spokane Review. The article included quotes from Sarah about the shocking discovery and her plans to pursue all legal options. Her lawyer, the same shark who'd been so confident during our divorce proceedings, issued a statement about investigating potential disclosure violations. Good luck with that. I'd never lied about the condition of the house. I'd simply never volunteered information that wasn't requested. The best part came when I ran into Sarah's friend Jennifer at the grocery store. Jennifer, who'd been at every one of Sarah's divorce celebration dinners, who'd laughed at all her jokes about my limited prospects. Marcus. Jennifer's voice was overly bright, the way people sound when they're trying to pretend awkward situations aren't awkward. How are you doing? I heard about. Well, about the house situation. I'm doing very well, thank you, I replied, genuinely meaning it. Business is booming. I'm actually expanding into commercial development. That's wonderful. Jennifer fidgeted with her shopping cart. Sarah's having a difficult time, you know. The house situation has been very stressful. I imagine it would be, I agreed. Homeownership comes with so many unexpected responsibilities. Jennifer's face flushed. She knew. They all knew. Sarah's social circle was slowly realizing that the mediocre ex-husband had orchestrated the most spectacular divorce revenge in Spokane history. Well, Jennifer said, clearly eager to escape, I should let you get back to your shopping. Of course. Give Sarah my best, won't you? Tell her I hope she finds a good contractor. Structural repairs can be tricky if you don't know what you're doing. 6 months later, I was in my new office, a beautiful space in a building I now partially owned, when my secretary buzzed me. Mr. Rodriguez, there's a Sarah Rodriguez here to see you. She says it's personal. I almost said no, almost, but curiosity won. Sarah looked like a different person. Gone were the designer clothes, the perfect hair, the aura of entitlement. She looked tired, defeated, older than her 35 years. Marcus, she said, standing uncertainly in my office doorway. Thank you for seeing me. Come in, sit down. I gestured to the chair across from my desk, the same professional courtesy I'd show any client. She sat carefully, her hands folded in her lap like a schoolgirl called to the principal's office. The house sold, she said without preamble. Finally. Congratulations. I hope you got a fair price. Sarah laughed, but there was no humor in it. $180,000. After realtor fees and paying off the remaining mortgage, I cleared about $30,000. $30,000 from an $800,000 house. The buyers had essentially paid for the land and planned to demolish everything on it. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and surprisingly, I almost meant it. No, you're not. Sarah looked directly at me for the first time since entering my office. And you shouldn't be. I treated you terribly, Marcus, for years. I was arrogant and cruel, and I thought I was better than you. The admission hung between us like a peace offering. Why are you here, Sarah? Because I wanted to tell you that you won, completely, perfectly. You destroyed my life without breaking a single law, without telling a single lie. You just let me destroy myself with my own greed and stupidity." I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation, anger, some hidden agenda, but she looked genuinely broken. "The house would have destroyed both of us if we'd stayed married," I said finally. "At least this way, only one of us got buried under $500,000 in debt." "I know," Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "I know you could have warned me. I know I didn't deserve the warning, but I also know that in your position I would have done the same thing." She stood up slowly, smoothing down her discount store skirt. "I'm moving back to Portland," she said. "Starting over. Brad left, obviously. Turns out his love wasn't strong enough to survive financial ruin. Funny how that works." At the door, she turned back one final time. "For what it's worth, Marcus, you were never mediocre. You were the best man I ever knew, and I was too stupid and selfish to appreciate it." The door closed behind her with a soft click. 2 years later, Rodriguez & Sons Construction is the fastest-growing development company in eastern Washington. We specialize in termite-resistant construction, using steel framing and advanced foundation techniques. It's become something of a signature in our marketing. I married Alina, my project manager, 6 months ago. She's brilliant, kind, and treats me like an equal partner in everything we do. We're building our own house from scratch, with the most thorough pest inspection and prevention system money can buy. Sometimes I still check local real estate listings and see that empty lot where my old house used to stand. The new owners built a beautiful modern home there, clean lines and sustainable materials. It looks nothing like the termite palace that used to occupy that space. Sarah sends me a Christmas card every year from Portland, where she works as a hotel manager and apparently lives a quiet, humble life. No more social climbing, no more designer anything. The cards are simple, apologetic, and I think genuine. I don't reply, but I don't throw them away either. Some lessons are expensive. Some justice takes time. But sometimes, if you're patient enough and smart enough, you can watch your enemies destroy themselves with their own greed while you walk away clean. My ex-wife demanded the house in our divorce. I smiled and handed her the keys. She got exactly what she deserved. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories of perfect revenge, and let us know in the comments, what would you have done in my situation?